A lot has happened on the NFL scene. A lot of free agent signings, a lot of trades, a lot of things going on as we approach the NFL draft. So what we're going to do is look at a mock draft, look at the players involved for Dynasty, and then rank them in tiers per Dynasty Fantasy Football with these landing spots. And this is just an exercise we do once a week, sometimes twice a week, just to get an idea of how we will change our values if a player goes to a certain situation. And I try and pick different mock drafts. Today, we were looking at CBS, and I thought the headline was interesting considering what they were saying. There was some different stuff, and I don't want to keep doing the same mock drafts. So let's get this started. First player off the board here, Anthony Richardson to the Carolina Panthers, who has recently traded up to the pick here. And Anthony Richardson to the Panthers, very interesting. This makes him the first player overall. This will ignite his dynasty stock, and people are going to be jumping at the bit to get him as the number one player, the number two player off the board in Superflex drafts. Maybe a little bit later, there's going to be a lot of debate. Things are going to get hot here, which I like. I like the chaos. One thing you can't ignore is the Konami code, the rushing upside, but you also can't ignore the downside. We don't have DJ Moore here anymore. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. They now have Miles Sanders, so they are trying to retool a bit. We also have Andy Dalton here to bridge the gap. So if you do go with this pick, you may have to wait a year or so, but this happens in this situation. Next player off the board here, Bryce Young to the Texans. And then we also got Will Levis to the Commanders. So Bryce Young to the Texans here. We've seen this in almost every mock draft. Like I'm saying, this might take some time to develop, considering this team's retooling, rebuilding, or however you want to state it. Will Levis to the Commanders is interesting. I think in this scenario, they're trading up for him, which I understand. And they got some pieces there. They got John Dotson. They got Terry McLaurin. They got some running backs there. They got some pieces there. And I imagine if they make this move, they're looking to build around him. Downsides are this decision making. Sometimes his accuracy. But dude has a cannon. He can rip it as well. This might be a good situation for him, considering the pieces around him, though. Like, he's got wide receivers to build around. One thing is the Dynasty community is not high on him, so you still will probably catch him at a discount. So that's a good thing. So if you're into him, you don't have to pay the 102, 103. You might catch him at like 104 price tag, 103-ish. I doubt it's 105. Really depends on what the running backs do. But moving down here, we got C.J. Stroud to the Colts. And I like this landing spot for him. I really love it. I love that he's paired with Jonathan Taylor. I love that he's indoors. I love he's still in the Midwest. I like this. I like this spot a lot for him. And we know the Colts are good about getting wide receivers in. They're taking shots at building this team up. We saw him draft Alec Pierce last year. Not a big name guy or anything, but we know they're taking shots at the pinata, trying to get this team better. Also got Michael Pittman. We know that they'll probably bring in more skilled players to help him out. That's almost certain because they've been active in doing this little by little each year. Going down here, let's see who's next off the board that we can talk about. And went around a little bit. Nolan Smith here. A little bit down the waist. We got a lot of defense and line. This is something to note here. Just about every mock, when they have Bryce Young going to the Texans, they also have a wide receiver going with it. This is a little bit more realistic. Also, if they draft a wide receiver with their second pick, expect some time for them to develop because this whole situation's developing. That's one thing you want to look at. And here we go with the Patriots, Jackson Smith-Njigba. A lot of people are going to fade him because he goes to the Patriots, but he is a very nuanced player. And things are going to have to change sometime, somehow, some way with this team. And even though this is a low-volume offense, that doesn't mean he can't produce. And if you're calling him the wide receiver one of this class, then this is your time to really let everyone know that you're about that because he's landing in this situation that people are down on. I think this will give him an opportunity to transition, develop. I think this is a horrible spot. I don't think it's super optimal. But I think after a couple years, I think you're going to get a return on the investment. I don't think he's going to fall off the map. I think he's a good wide receiver prospect. I think he could really be fantasy relevant here, and I think he can be a good player for you. And just because a player lands in the wrong spot doesn't mean they can't hit. Remember, it's talent over situation. If you're going over situation too much, you're going to get yourself burned. Dalton Kincaid to the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is gone. This team's going to be retooling from here. They might not be going tight end from here. That might not be their thing with how they're doing with the quarterback, but they might need to retool at the pass catching spot, whether it's wide receiver or tight end, just to help transition from quarterback. So I can see that too. Tight end is going to tight end. I do have Kincaid as one of the best tight ends in the class. He led the tight ends in targets about every week last year in college football. Very solid. But honestly, I don't know if the volume's going to be there, and I'm just going to buy him cheap if he falls. That's it. I'm going to treat him like a tight end. There's nothing special about it. Coming down here, more defense, more O-line coming off the board. And look at that. We got Zay Flowers to the Seattle Seahawks. A little Tyler Lockett action here. And I like this spot for Zay Flowers. And he's a player that you really need to look at. And they need to update their size and weights that they have listed here, because he weighed like 183 at the combine or something like that. And they got him listed here at 172. So they need to correct that. This is CBS after all. So they need to have the correct information. That annoys me a lot when you're a big name site and you got these full-time workers there. Like, that stuff should be corrected. It's not like a smaller site and everyone's part-time just trying to patch things together every day. That should be normal. That should be right. Zay Flowers, though, going to Seattle, downfield threat, very nuanced, good ball skills. His game's a lot like Tyler Lockett. You have DK Metcalf there, too. So Zay Flowers doesn't have all the heat on him. I think this is a good spot for him. This could be a good spot in fantasy as well. I think he'll get air yards. I think that's a good spot. I think that's a sneaky location. I think Seattle's a sneaky location for a wide receiver. Not so sneaky as Baltimore for Quentin Johnston, though. I look for him to drop in value quite a bit. Everybody hates wide receivers going to Baltimore, and I understand that. Thing is, you're not buying full price anymore. You're going to buy him at the dip, and it's him versus those third-tier running backs, however you want to call it, second, third tier, however you want to do that, in the back end of the first round, and you're going to pick your spot there. Am I fading him? No. I'm just taking him at value, and that's a little bit different since he's a first-round wide receiver, but really this signals to me that I'm going to be buying more Rashad Bateman, because I have Rashad Bateman as a talented wide receiver, and this is going to clear things out for him, and that's really what I'm going to go with, and I think I can catch him at a discount still. I think this will drive his price down as well. Going down here, see who else comes off the board. Dallas goes, Darnell Washington. That's over Michael Mayer as well. If you look at it that way, Washington tested well at the combine, looked good. One of the top tight ends in the class, even prior to the combine. They need a tight end. Dalton Schultz is gone. Dalton Schultz is still in the market, waiting to get picked up, and that's because he was not one of the top talented tight ends, just good in production. The production could go here for Washington, but still, he's a tight end. You can probably catch him later at a discount. You want to see where the value is at, but things are going to tear off somewhere in the second round where you can look at tight end, but also since he's a first-round tight end with good athleticism, you also want to chase that. A lot of people are going to bump him up the rankings. You're going to catch that. He might be too expensive, but you might be able to catch him year 2, year 3 at a discount if he's on the trajectory of a rookie tight end where it takes him a couple years to develop. Something you want to think about. They also have other tight ends right now who are seasoning on the roster who can take snaps as he's developing. So I could see this being a time where you can catch a tight end here, good athleticism, good draft capital on a team that features the tight end at a good price later, but you may want to look at that also for the long term. Going down here, and Bijan Robinson to the Bengals and Jahmyr Gibbs to the Saints. Bijan to the Bengals, I love that spot. I just don't see him falling this far. I could see Dallas pulling the trigger before that. I can see him doing that. Bijan Robinson to the Bengals, though, everyone's going to love that. You're connected with Burrow. You got Jamar Chase. You just got a lot of top-tier talents there. That's just too good to be true. That's my feelings. Of course, he's not falling in the ranks. He's probably going to be elevating value somehow. And then Jahmyr Gibbs here. Good spot here. I just feel like the Saints, considering how tight they are against the cap, they can probably be more frugal, get other positions, and at the running back spot, they can probably go a little later. But here, I think hidden doors, catching the ball in the backfield. They're transitioning. Game scripts will probably roll his way since he's a pass catcher. So that's good. I think he's going to be fantasy relevant. I think this is an alright spot for him, considering his late first round as well. Maybe he'll catch the 50-year option or get tagged later. But all in all, we're going in 3-year windows with these younger guys. And that's about it. So let's get started ranking these players. And you know what I'm going to do first here? Throw Bijan here at S because he's not moving. I think this is a great spot for him. I think this is optimal. I don't see it happening. I don't see him falling this far. But if it does, everyone's going to go crazy over it. A tier is going to be a little different. Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, those are the top quarterbacks. And we're doing this in super flex value. If not, quarterbacks should just be sitting at the bottom anyways. Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud's the top guys. I think CJ Stroud is probably the safest one of the two. Richardson's got that upside, and some people want to chase that upside, and they understand the downsides of it. And I understand, and the upside's nuclear, downside's catastrophic, but that nuclear upside can help you win leagues. So I understand that. Bryce Young, super flex value. I don't see that falling considering people's been pegging him to go to the Texans the whole time. I just don't see that happening. I feel like we're going to look at ADP and super flex off of this landing spot situation, and it's going to be a mix of these four players. It's going to be a mix. You're going to see Anthony Richardson go one-on-one in some cases and Bijan the other ones. And then a mix of the quarterbacks as well, because some people like Stroud over Richardson, some people like Young as the best, and it's going to be a mix. It's going to be a mix. Even though the hype train's up here, there's other people liking the other quarterbacks. There's nothing wrong with that. Then we're going to Tier B. Tier B is pretty interesting. I'm going Jackson Smith-Njigba and Jahmyr Gibbs right here. I feel like once those quarterbacks are off the board, and I feel like these two can be mixed into A and S because they're talented. I'm not fading Jackson Smith-Njigba at all, even if he goes to a bad landing spot. He can go to the Ravens. I'm just keeping him there. I think he can be valuable no matter where he goes. And even if it's over the long haul, I'm not playing redraft with these players. Like 2023, I'm just happy if they flash a little bit, give me a little bit of production. That's all I care about. 2024, 2025 is where I'm really diving in deep with these players. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is going to be fine. I think in a lot of cases, he'll be ranked a little bit higher. You can mix them in with A, B, and A together, but I kind of want the quarterbacks and the top skilled guys after Bijan kind of separated here to really showcase stuff here with the group of players. Plus, we don't have many guys to rank. So I feel like this is very safe. I think A and B is going to be mixed in a lot of ADP, and I think it's rightfully so. But for super flex, quarterbacks are going to lean heavier, and then the skilled guys. But the skilled guys are going to get mixed in. Watch that happen, though, in a lot of drafts. Then after this, we got Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, and Will Levis. I love Will Flowers in the spots, and I want to put him in B tier, but I really just want B and A kind of merged together, and I think C tier is like a B tier any other way because we do not have a full-fledged of players. We have one round of players here, and I think we'll have more players to look at in the first round. I think Will Levis, sneaky spots, give him pieces, and I like him more. Put him on a team that's skep or sus. Well, this is very sus. You can't get more sus than this. But he does have pieces, and he's cheap. I expect him 105, 106 range-ish. I like him better than Kenny Pickett. That doesn't say much, but I like him better than Kenny Pickett, but I didn't like Kenny Pickett, and I don't like Will Levis. But I feel like the players around him could elevate him a little bit, and the super flex value's there. Quentin Johnston, I'm buying him on the low. And there'll be more running backs baked in here once we get through the second and third round. And it's really going to be how these running backs tear off when it comes to his value. So you're not getting really an accurate depiction due to a small sample of players here. But I'm not fading, but I am catching the drift from the Ravens. The downside that could be with Johnston, but the upside's grand as well. Again, like I said, this would just cause me to buy more Rashad Bateman. Tight ends are going to tight end, and I get it. It's part of the process. But unless you're one of the top-tier tight ends, I'm not paying for you. And I'm really going to take you at cost, and I'm going to be frugal. Darnell Washington's the guy I'm interested in this situation. Honestly, if the Cowboys take a tight end with the first two rounds, there's going to be a slight bump in premium, but not much. I'm looking somewhere in the second when the wide receivers tear off to where, like, Downs and company's gone, and the running backs are on their third, fourth, fifth tier. That's when I'm really going to look at tight end. Washington, somewhere middle of the second round, off my head with this landing spot. It's probably where he's going to be at. Frugality-wise, I would like him late second round, early third, because there is some development to do. I can catch him cheap a couple years down the road. Even with him being productive a little bit, I can probably catch him at the same price tag as I am now, and there's no risk. There's no waiting. And even if it's a little bit more expensive, guess what? I'll have to wait for him on my roster for a bit. I just get him now, pay a little bit more. That's the thing about the tight end spot. And Dalton Kincaid, I like him. I think he's a good tight end. I don't think he's a generational talent or anything. I don't like the situation, but I will buy him on the cheap, middle third round at this spot. Aaron Rodgers is probably gone, probably be with the Jets. We got to wait for that to finalize. I'll probably catch that when this video is posted anyways. It's how that works. But this is where we're at on the tiers here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Smash that subscribe button because I'm here to help you out with your Dynasty teams and your rookie drafts. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.